Welcome, everyone, to our SC Market Update. We appreciate you joining us today, and we look forward to walking you through a lot of the different recent research that we've been doing and the different activities and our findings and different studies and overviews. For those of you who don't know us, Hyperion Research, we focus on helping organizations make more effective decisions and seize on growth opportunities, and also providing information on all types of technologies, market trends, what's working, what's not working as well, and what's likely to happen in the future. In addition, we do run the HPC user forum, which we always invite the whole community to join us in our meetings. This is the Hyperion research team. We have a lot of great employees, great analysts, and so please feel free to contact us at any time. And for those that aren't familiar, these are our primary research areas that we look at right now. In traditional HPC, we do our best to try to track everything sold every quarter around the world in 28 countries, 5 regions, 12 different verticals, but looking at revenues, processors, GPUs, systems architecture, software, and so on. In addition, as you can imagine, we're doing a lot of work on AI, cloud computing, quantum computing, storage, and all these different areas. And at any point in time, we're doing 10 to 15 custom studies just to better understand what's going on and answer very specific questions. And to gather all this information, we actually do thousands and thousands of individual survey interviews every year. So it keeps us real busy. Now, today's agenda, I'll start with a brief overview of the market, some results that have happened recently. Then Tom will be providing an update on AI. Mark will be covering the state of cloud computing right now, which is growing very quickly. Jacqueline will cover sustainability and some of the new issues and how that's becoming a much larger buying requirement for many sites. And then Bob will give us his update on exascale and near exascale, and then what happens after exascale, which is very interesting, trying to figure that out. And Mark will provide a state of the art as far as what we see going on HPC storage and interconnects. And Bob will return with the global quantum computing market and what's really realistic and where he sees the most growth going forward. And Melissa will provide the HPC application vertical view and what's really going on in the different workload segments. And I'll wrap up with some conclusions. And with that, I'll start with the HPC market update. And everyone can download the slides here, and everyone who's registered will get the slides. So I'm going to be walking through the numbers fairly quickly. So last year, we saw the HPC market grow reasonably well, about on the order of 4 or 5%. So not great market growth rate, but fairly decent. And if you look at all the parts of on-premises and spending in the cloud, it exceeded $37 billion. And here's how the market broke out between supercomputers, divisional, departmental, and workgroup. We see workgroup under the most pressure, although every now and then it does show a recovery. Like the first half of the year, we saw a little pickup in workgroup. But supercomputers and divisional are where some very high growth rates we're seeing right now. And we're projecting this year to land around $16.5 billion, so some sizable growth rate on that part. And here's 2022 by the different vendors in the market and the 12 different verticals slash sectors that we track. And if you're interested, we do track this at an individual country level and with historic data going back a couple decades and 5-year forecasts in all categories. So here's what the first half of this year is looking like. So the supercomputing segment is doing stellar right now. And overall, we're seeing 9.5% growth for the first 6 months of 2023. So if the second half of the year stays as strong as it is, it'll exceed our forecast right now. And here's our 5-year on-prem HPC server forecast. We're expecting to see, in this case, it actually hit right on 8.0 average yearly growth rate. The large language models, generative AI, and other types of AI are really driving these increases. And we're doing a lot of studies on that because we think they're going to actually drive an additional acceleration in the market. And we have not rippled that through these numbers yet, but look forward to that in the future. And then if you look at the broader market, when you add into the servers, the storage, middleware, applications, and repair services, we're expecting to see the market to exceed $44 billion by 2027. So very substantial growth we're seeing across the market, with storage being very strong. Now, we were asked a couple of years ago to kind of subdivide the supercomputer in different segments. And here are the 3 larger segments. And for the first time for the leadership slash exascale machines, we're actually accounting for individual sales of systems in our data, at least the ones that are made public. Normally, we always make sure this market data so you can't see an individual sale. But if you're interested, this is how we're subdividing the supercomputer segment, which is growing to be such a large segment right now. So what are the high growth areas that we see in the market? So first of all, on-prem, as I mentioned, is we're expecting to see about 8% growth. 7.6 if you look at the broader market on that. Then if you look at the GPU boards and accelerators and everything, we're seeing about 17% growth, or 17.2, in the actual boards and components sold. But at the same time, the price and the power of these GPUs are growing so quickly, the actual revenue growth is dramatically higher than that. And then looking at using the clouds for running HPC workloads, we're seeing continued very high growth, just shy of 18%. And looking at AI systems, for deep learning, machine learning, large language models, we're seeing an average of around 23% growth. And if you look at just the deep learning segment, that's even at 32% growth. Now, these are growth rates over the next 5 years, so yearly growth rates. So just some substantial growth taking place here in the market. And Bob will be covering the exascale market in more detail, but this is the highlight. We've added an additional year here as far as the different leadership and exascale machines that we're looking at. And if you want the information on any of the systems that we have in this, just let us know. We'd be glad to reply. Now, on the accelerator side, we're seeing some just amazing tipping points. In the generative AI, we're right in the middle of understanding the large language model tipping point that we're also in. But GPUs right now in mid 2021, you can see that 17% of the sites didn't have one installed, and now it's up to 94.3 of sites have some accelerators installed. But if you look at in these two tables, the quantity that there's installed at the sites are just staggering. So tremendous growth here as far as the use of GPUs and the installation of GPUs. And then we also do a lot of surveys. This is just a snapshot of one of the questions we asked, what's in your next system, what combination or type GPUs will you be purchasing? Of course, standard GPUs is the market leader here, but there's all types of different new accelerators, processors. Many are targeted for different AI workloads that we see are of interest in the market right now. And the GPU accelerator forecast, so this is our most recent one we've put together. The number of 17%, is strong as far as boards, but as I mentioned, if you put the dollars attached to it, it's dramatically higher. In the chart below, I show a much longer term history, and you can see the GPU market is what we call a transformational market trend that's taking place as far as the technology. And then for cloud, which Mark will be covering in more detail, you can see here's our growth rates here, and Mark will do a deeper dive into these numbers. And then on the AI side, this is separating machine learning, deep learning, other forms of AI. And again, this is where you're just seeing just tremendous growth rates taking place in the market. And so for today's agenda, Tom will be next with an update on the intersection of AI and HPC. And thank you again for joining us today.